Stretch is going to read an excerpt from a book he just bought, written by Myron Gains, and then we're going to talk about it.
Basically, the first chapter, what you're up against as a man in the dating market. This excerpt was taken from the book Game. Okay. Beautiful girls in big cities are now directly or indirectly offered sex more than 1,000 times a month from men on the internet and at bars, on the streets, and within their social circles. If a girl has basic internet profile, spends time on social networking, and goes out twice a week, I guarantee she's offered more cock than even the most famous women of the past. Of course, women are not interested in 99% of the men who offer her sex. But try to imagine the effect on your psychology if 1,000 women a month were trying to have sex with you. What kind of person would that make you? I could tell you what I would do would be like if I was getting over 1,000 sex offers every month. I'd be spoiled rotten, thinking I deserved all those women just because I existed. I'd be flaky, canceling dates often because I'd be unsure that I was getting the best possible girl. I'd be bitchy to women who didn't read my mind and failed to treat me exactly the way I wanted to, because don't they know I could sleep with hundreds of other women anytime I wanted? I'd be moody, always dependent on the reactions I'd get from women. If I received less attention in a weekend than usual, I'd throw a temper tantrum and demand immediate satisfaction. I'd also get bored easily. With so many women constantly trying to entertain me, I wouldn't be able to tolerate 5 minutes with a boring girl who didn't jump through hoops to make me laugh. Lastly, I'd be primed to value novelty over stability. I'd become addicted to experiencing one girl after the next and believe excitement and fun was worth more than stability and commitment. My attention span would morph into that of a small child. Boom.
Okay.
And I think that goes both ways, like just being a rich kid or anything that came too easy would do that to anybody's psychology. So this is just pointing out what women are dealing with. And when you get too much too easy, who do you become? So that's a man and woman thing. That's a human thing.
That's human nature, yes.
Yeah. So what do you think about it?
I mean, I think it's all pretty accurate.
Pretty accurate, right?
It's pretty true. Yeah. I mean, it's just part of the makeup of being human, and being an attractive woman is just, it's got its strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah.
For individuals and for society. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's important, I think, because just that, that little paragraph alone, I wish I would have known that a little earlier.
Oh, what would have been the benefit?
Actually, I knew, I was sensing it, but I couldn't articulate it. I didn't know where it comes from and all that stuff. So it would have just helped me navigate a little better and not be so hurt if things didn't go my way, right? Because it really isn't personal. It's part of the design of our biologies, right? Women are hypergamous. They're trying to get the best man they can. But back in the day when we didn't have social media, everybody was kind of held hostage to limited options. So they had to make decisions earlier, right? Whereas now, if you're getting 1,000 DMs and requests, it does something else to the female psychology. Whereas if you lived in a small town and got, you were the it girl in your little town, you would just pick the best man there. But now you got the globe, right? And so that probably feels pretty good, and saying, oh, well, I don't have to dress as fancy anymore. I don't have to, like any human being. I'm not saying this is a woman thing. I'm just saying if we didn't have to work so hard, I would just be like, And so then too, it would help me like figure out, oh, this is how the game works. Let me do what I can to be more attractive to women and understand how they work. If I want to get the best woman I can. So it would, basically that's what I'm saying. It would have helped me not understand what I had to do, basically.
Not take things personal when you got rejected relentlessly. No, I'm just kidding.
Although I wasn't that guy, but I still got the rejection. Well, it doesn't matter how often you get it. Rejection sucks.
It sucks no matter what, dude. Even when I'm asking people to dance, like it could be an old woman I don't even want to dance with, but I'm just going to say no. It like still stings. Just, I guess it's human nature. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it always stings. That's interesting. All right, so how's your relationships with ladies been? Have you gotten rejected lately?
No, because I haven't put myself out there, but I'm definitely studying and getting good information now, and I'm ready to get out there. I can't tell you. I feel way more confident now. You know, just in general, just because it's actually aligned with what I already saw from day one. You know what I mean? It all really makes sense. It's just we're just animals, and there's once we get civilized, it doesn't change the blueprint of how biology set us up to our urges and our motivations are the cleanest part of it, but we can get all these other ideas being socialized, and then that kind of affects who we are. But if you stay true to the biology and how it all works and don't get fooled by, it's basically just like watching the movement no matter what's said about the movement, because all kinds of stuff will be trying to cloud your judgment or make you skew, make you think it's happening more than it is, just all this stuff. But if you just watch the movement, you don't get confused. And it's true.
Watch the movement? What do you mean?
The movement of like how biology, what motivates us. So like all this stuff I read in this book, because a lot of it is skewed by all the input that we're getting now through social media and all that stuff. So, but the movement is still the same. It just kind of can get skewed, derailed, warped, but it's still the same, right? Men want sex. Basically, he even says in the book, we have right now, like how it's going, men have, a lot of this whole thing is driven by our sexuality. Our libidos are a lot stronger than theirs, right?
Is it?
Well, that's what the statistics say in the book. I'm just going by what he said.
Okay.
And it makes sense to
I don't
me
know
because
if I agree with that,
if porn is mostly run by men and women are getting OnlyFans, basically their whole market is men who aren't getting sex. If men were getting sex more often, that market wouldn't exist.
I don't know about that because a lot
Or it'd be less. It'd be less.
A lot of celebrities like Kanye, who else? Oh, Adrian Grenier, who have unlimited access and are in relationships, still get addicted to porn. You know what I mean? They're still watching porn, and sometimes they're still doing prostitutes, even though they don't have to.
Well, that's the whole thing. That adds to my point because men, even if we have a good woman, just especially the high status men, that's why they say you have to share this high status men because they're the rare ones who are getting a lot of vagina thrown at them. Mm-hmm. So most men aren't at that level to where it's being thrown at them like that. Very few men are. And it shows you they have their main girl. What that shows in male nature, we want our main good girl that we trust and we're building with. We want her to understand we're going to do this every now and again because we can.
Not every man's like that, though.
I know. No, I'm not saying it is. Yeah. But I would even argue most men might morally do it. Because even when I was with my Lisa, I was like, she's giving me everything I need. And why am I still lusting after these girls? Well, it was my nature. I never acted upon it, but I wanted to. Mm-hmm. So that's my argument. Not every man. I would like to meet the man that really is not tempted by that. So I truly just love my woman. I don't even see any of these women. I'm sure he does exist.
I think it's when you have the woman and you have you're actually working on the relationship and you're actively working on the relationship and you're working on your mission in the world. You know what I mean? So and your woman, yes, and your woman is helping you do that.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get. One thing that's really been interesting to me, I mentioned it before. I want to mention it again because I think it's really potent, is that men and women, you said hypergamy, but we're both doing that. We both are really only going to settle for the person that we think is like the best that we can get. So if we're with a woman who we think is the best we can get, that's the one that we can commit to and treat right internally and externally and vice versa. So I think that's just a really important gauge. Is this the best woman that I can get? Because if you think you can do better, you're going to be looking. The grass is greener, But if you're like, whoa, this is right at the edge. Like any more of that, I might not be able to handle her. But I think she's the best, and she thinks I'm the best. That's the proper match.
And probably that would be, if the few that do find it, that I think what I want to be a part of is helping people to understand like there's something that both parties have to do to get back together, because in the book he's even talking about the old contract is null and void between men and women. Here, let me put the old contract is men provide, protect, and women give sex and, loyalty, basically. And then we create families. But now that women don't need men like that anymore, now there's a new contract. And he's talking about the new contract. And what was supposed to happen is, okay, now women, because back in the day, people coming from, strong families, the family and the father would pick the daughter's husband, right? Because he would see, oh, he can provide real facts. He has a business. He comes from a good lineage. And she might not even be in love with him, but they had to do it. And that created a lot of good stuff and a lot of bad stuff, right? It's not always great, but it still is proven the best blueprint for building families. Now, we can clean that all up too by working on relationships, but that process. So the new contract is women don't need men like that. So now he says in the book, women were supposed to be like, okay, now I can take care of myself. Now I can pick the man I desire truly. And then I can be in control of what I invest in. But it's turning out not to work out like that. Because it's harder because he points out in the book, most women are not interested in most men. Mm-hmm. So eventually, as time goes on and social media, they're all pining for the highest level man. But they would have never known that if that wasn't put in their head, and they would just be, locally dealing with the men that were in their vicinity. Now they have all this. And so it kind of skews it. So that's what he's pointing out. It didn't work out like that. So it's interesting. I'm still like processing the pattern, but I would say, the nuclear family is proven the best thus far. Mm-hmm. But of course that can all be cleaned up, because I think if kids see, okay, a woman married a guy who she didn't fall in love with, and they had kids, but he's providing, he's doing all this other stuff. Yeah. And they begin not to like each other. Something else happens. And so the kids are witnessing this. Yeah. And so that's why I notice a lot of...
Oh, that's what can be cleaned up.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's still better to have two parents, but two parents that hate each other is not nearly as good as two parents actively in a healthy, loving relationship.
And that's what most women point out. They'll be like, oh, they were together, but they didn't understand that they had a lot of work to do to keep this relationship alive, both parties. That's the thing that has to be worked on, because it's not easy. It's not cocaine and cotton candy. I just heard that the other day, so I want to say it somewhere. But yeah, so
I'm going to share my current strategy right now, and I want to ask what your next strategy is going to be. So my challenge a lot is the grass is greener. When I'm in a relationship, I think the grass is greener over there, and I keep looking over at the grass over there and not appreciating the grass that I'm on. So I think there's a lot of reasons for that. And my current strategy is to be 100% honest and upfront and date a lot. Like, I've never asked out so many women in probably like the past 2 weeks at any other point in my life. But I'm just seizing every opportunity, and I'm just in a good place. So I'm attracting a lot of opportunities, and I'm just asking them out, getting a number. And I'm going to keep doing that, being upfront and honest, telling them this strategy until I find the one woman who just makes it so obvious. It's so obvious that I want her over all these other options that I have, as opposed to dating one woman, getting to know, going through this process of knowing her, and then wondering what my other options are. Right now, I'm trying every option. Every option I get, I'm trying. So now I will actually realize my value and what my potential is, because I'm actively dating and I'm getting to know all these different types of women. Seeing, okay, this is what it feels like to be with you in an intimate way. Not really, and I don't really want to have sex with many of them, because that just is overwhelming. I mean, in theory, yeah, it sounds great as a man, but in reality, it's like that's a lot. It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of potential drama. But I do want to be be with them intimately. And I'm not trying to be your friend. I'm trying to find out if you're the one. And so I'm going to keep doing that until just the one rises to the top. And it's just so obvious I want to be with her. Then drop the others, stay with her for a while and see how that goes. And then commit, and then go for the whole kit and caboodle.
That I think, and Jordan Peterson, he had a great podcast on the dynamics of modern dating and what's happening. It's great. I mean, he had a female, his female equivalent on his channel, but he used this term which I like, and he said women have a proclivity more than men. It's the same kind of principle as the grass is always greener. We all have, because that's what's happening to all of us right now. Oh, I don't have to settle for that. But then remember, TikTok. So you have to move with purpose. Like you said, that's the male strategy he's talking about. You just non-exclusively date and just be upfront with on every level and see what sticks to the wall and learn game as you're going through it, right? And learn how females work and what you need. And at some point he called it drowning in the possibilities, right? Because that's what happens. That's almost like getting nothing done, because you're just looking at the possibilities. But at some point you got to lock down on one thing. And I think we do that with our careers. We do it with all kinds of stuff, because we forget TikTok, right? And maybe we don't keep it on our mind enough to where this is serious. I have to decide, right? I have to move with purpose.
Yeah.
Because if the whole point is time is running out, so you have to be thinking like this. Your time is short. So I think a few things together, few ingredients would then put everybody in the right mindset. Like, I can't get lost and drown in these possibilities.
Yeah.
It feels good to just contemplate possibilities.
Yeah. You got to take action. Yeah. I agree. Because if you're just thinking that, then you get lost. When I think taking action on the possibility, you learn reality. Like, in your mind, you don't know reality. There's no possibility, and that's easy. But when you're like, that's what I'm feeling now. I'm going on. I'm getting better, and I'm seeing like it's getting quicker and quicker for me to decide for like, is there actual potential in this relationship? Because as soon as you start up an energy with the woman, it's like that doesn't just disappear. It's like it's feelings from both sides, and so you don't want to just like stir up. I'm learning. I don't want to just stir it up.
Right. Then you don't want to. Well, if it's not going anywhere, the minute it's not going anywhere, then you shouldn't stir it up like that.
Yeah. But sometimes it takes a little while. Like tonight, there could be potentially 3 or 4 of the girls I'm talking to all at the same location, and I'm probably going to go there. But because I'm being honest, I'm not worried. I can do it. I've already told them, hey, this is how it is. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to fucking pull the wool over your eyes. I'm trying to find the one. And
and this is like what he says in the book. It's men. This is the thing that'll keep them in check. Like when you said, like when you ask a woman to dance and she says no, and right there next you say, "You want to?" And she said, "Yeah." So it keeps them in check. Like, I'm not all that. He's gonna move on.
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. Same thing with the friend zone. The minute we start saying you don't get my time and attention, if I'm not gonna get what I want from this, and you don't acknowledge that's what I want from this, or I think they always know that's what we want. I'd be surprised. Do you think there's any woman out there that doesn't know that when we're hanging out with them that we want to have sex? I'm very few.
I mean, I think they'll lie to themselves some, and it's like it's not all 100% of the time, because sometimes there is a mutual benefit to a career or just something, but also the men lie to themselves. So I think sometimes they're both lying to themselves.
There it is.
But the reality is there's a sexual undertone.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Unless
there's another benefit.
And the way the man doesn't allow himself to get frustrated and empower himself is, when I don't get it, I'm going to cordially bow out and with no disrespect and move on with my energy. And then that'll keep them in check. Like, I'm not all that. And he even talks about the simp economy and the men that kind of lie to themselves and hope and pray and don't make a move, that they're the lingering thing that's building women's delusion, and so, which keeps this thing alive. But in reality, they don't understand. Once they realize most women aren't interested in most men, that dynamic right there, when he said that, I was like, oh, wow, that's the truth.
And it's good to know, right? So don't take shit personal, because you got low chances. That's why like, I'm in the zone of stirring it all up. And then even when I'm like a little unsure and like, yeah, because you don't know for sure. And as long as you're being honest, it's okay. And you're going to make mistakes. But it is a fun process once you don't take things personal.
Once you don't take things, you just realize this is the game of the animals, on all the animals, really. Yeah. And the woman has one egg and she's looking for the best man to procreate. Yeah. And that's just what it is. And it keeps it all, if you don't take it personal, it just keeps it all, What's happening is it's throwing it off we're degrading, in my opinion, because everybody's drowning in possibilities. The grass is greener. What can I get better? And with that environment, nothing really gets done. You know what I mean? You just waste a lot of time investing in relationships, and both, like you said, both parties lying to whether a hot woman finds the hot guy, but the hot guy isn't ever going to give her what she wants, and she's probably not going to, and she's going to believe in that, and then she's going to get hurt. So they're both kind of not, she's not hearing his lies or seeing his red flags, and he's not seeing her red flags, and then nothing really good. I think that's what happens most of the time when things fail. You have to move with purpose. You have to say, this is what I'm looking for. You have to work on relationships. This is what I need. Like Jordan Peterson had a great, another one about just relationships, and he everything is so logical. Yeah. Like it makes sense. That's what of course you have to do to make a relationship work. You have to do all these things. Nothing's on autopilot, you know? You really have to, you know, there was an interesting part in that one. We were saying, a guy was talking about, you know, I tell my wife, you know, he said something, well, two things. One of them, he said, I wanted to tell my wife every now and again, just tell me you're proud of me. I need that. Just you know, yeah, and then
that's awesome.
And then he asked Jordan, like, why did I feel that way? And he goes, well, you're ashamed to ask for what you need, right? It's embarrassing. It makes me feel vulnerable, and then they can use that against you. Oh, you need that,
yeah,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then vice versa. And she was like, oh, I wish you would have told me, because he was saying that his marriage was on the rocks, and then he started talking like that, and it's like, and she said, I would have given that to you. Oh, that's all you needed.
Yeah, I heard something similar, and it really struck me too when the guy was like. He said him and his partner had figured out a few of those statements, and one was every once in a while he would get insecure and jealous, and all he needed to hear was, "I'm never gonna leave you, and I love you," and then he just calm right the fuck down. And so once they figure that out, that's all he just needs to hear it. Like I know, we like conscious. We know like it's kind of silly, but just do it, and it works. So they figured out those little phrases that work when in need, and that just takes communication time and vulnerability and trust and. Never betray that trust. Never use that against the person.
And that makes sense. That's
huge.
One of the fundamental fears why people don't communicate. Like, you know, if a woman says, hey, I want more of your time, you're too busy, she doesn't want to say it. She wants you to read her mind, right? You know, instead of saying, hey, you know what, I need you to spend a little bit more time with me, and I miss you. And like, it's hard for us to like be vulnerable like that. And then you could use it another day. Oh, you need somebody, can't you just take care of yourself and, you know, entertain, you know, and on it goes. So how we, you know, do that game with each other. But the other one was, he was talking about how different men and women see things visually. So he goes, it would be helpful to give her a visual. And he used the example of, he told his woman, hey, I'm going to take you out on a hot date on Friday night. So be ready. Right. And so he's planning it all. He's got his suit and he did the reservations and this and that. And then Friday comes, and then she's in, you know, like some sweats and some pants. And she just said, oh, we're going to go to the taco shack. So in her mind, instead of, he said it would be better to give her a well-rounded visual of what he intended, because she can see something totally different. Right. Yeah. And so that is important, he said, in relationships with men and women, since we think so differently, to give it texture. Make sure she knows as much as possible, you know, instead of giving some vague, you know, what's the word I'm looking for?
Just a vague idea.
A vague idea, like, yeah. And so she's supposed to know, but she had this whole other thing. We're just going to go have some tacos at the taco place, you know, so I don't have to do that dressing, where he really wanted to take her out and wine and dine her. So he goes, pay attention to that kind of dynamic. And I didn't like think about that, but of course, you know, because obviously we think fundamentally different. So the better you clarify the vision for her, you know, then you know, it's going to have a better chance of working, what I'm saying.
All right. So what is your dating strategy, and when are you going to implement it?
Basically, like the same with you. I mean, that's what I come to, non-exclusive dating. Because where I was going wrong is I was always looking for the one. And so I would move in a different way, challenge with the questions that I wanted to know early, you know, and that tended to turn women off, you know, being too opinionated too early, coming with like, you know, real stuff. And that's not how you get the fire started, right?
You don't throw a log.
You don't throw a big ass log with gasoline on it. So, but now I realize, okay, you know, if I want to have more intimacy, then I have to date a lot. I have to date with, and be, just date, keep my mouth shut, and get the kindling going first, right? Get it down, put the leaves under the, and then light it.
Do you care if your woman is vaccinated or unvaccinated?
Yeah, I think, well, it depends on how attached she is to it.
Okay, so there's 3 levels, right? There's unvaccinated, there's vaccinated, no boosters, there's not, just did it and is not doing anymore, and then there's getting all the boosters.
I can't do all the boosters.
Yeah, if you're still getting boosters,
I can't
that's
do
a
it.
hell no.
Basically, you're going to die early, and I'm going to have to deal with you. You know what I mean? And so like people don't like to talk about that stuff, but that's why men and women care about each other's health at the higher levels, because when am I going to be a caretaker because you didn't take care of yourself?
Yeah.
That's not fun.
So if they got vaccinated, but they got duped and they did it, and now they're not all, but then you could work with that?
I can deal with one.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I
Okay, so you're going to date more, but how? Well, give me some more details. Like, where are you going to meet these women? When are you going to start? Have you started?
It's always in play, but I'm just not putting myself in the vicinity.
Why not?
Because right now I'm just trying to
Ignore the TikTok?
no, well, that's but basically, I guess I definitely just want to get more in shape again, and all
So
that.
you waiting for that?
Well, I'm just because I feel way better when I get out there and I'm looking, suave and all that stuff. So that's another thing. That's basically pretty much it.
I don't think that's a good reason to
I know,
pause.
but it is. That's what it is. So, and it's not that I am not, TikTok is always on my mind, but where I'm going to meet him is like you. We go to salsa where there's social dances, and that's the best place like to meet, because I'm not going to go out to, certain places anymore to meet, chicks.
I'm meeting them all over though. I mean, C-Boys, I'm realizing like live music, well, venues, certain, I'm finding the venues that I like to go to. Mm-hmm. And I'm also learning, what I realized recently is, okay, so the other night I went out to 2 spots. What was it? Oh, first I went out, I can't remember where I went out first. I went somewhere first, and it ended kind of early, like at 10. So, but I still had the energy. Mm-hmm. So I went to this other spot called the Golden Goose, which is a hip bar in Austin. It's cool. It's trendy. It's kind of like, I don't know about trendy, but it's like, it's a cool, you could tell, it's got a cool vibe, and cool people are there. So I went in, and, it's like cool people. They're all like good looking and smart and probably making money, but they're not like crazy rich or but it wasn't really my vibe, even though it's a cool ass spot, and I would take a date there. Like I could bring it. I think it's a good place to bring a date, but to go there and be social, just not. So I stayed like 15 minutes. I was in I'm learning too, when you go out, you just don't censor yourself. Any idea that comes to your mouth, you just say it. And you just, you just be gregarious, and it's a lot more fun. You can connect with people, and then you never know what's going to happen. Even just friendships and networking and women, the whole thing. So I was like that. And so I did start talking to a group, but then this whole conversation, the whole energy, I just wasn't interested in. And they weren't really that interested in me. They saw me and we interacted, but they weren't like responding
inviting?
To me. Yeah, they weren't that inviting. They were like halfway inviting. And I was probably halfway inviting to them, and it was fine. So then I left and I went to this place called C-Boys, which is live music venue. With a lot of soul, and like they really value artistry there. And there, it's like night and day. It's like they instantly understand who I am more and appreciate what I offer, as opposed to the other spot, which they can't really tell who I am. Well, I'm an artist. To me, that's like the identity I identify with most. Like I'm just a creative person, art, music, film, podcasting, whatever. Right? So there was so much easier to connect with women. So I happen to be meeting a lot of women there. And I'm realizing that's what's important. Is find like, okay, you have a vibe. Find the places where they see you quickly because they have similar values. Like at the Golden Goose, they don't see me. They don't know what I'm about. They can't tell. At this other spot, they can pretty much tell instantly. I'm a musician, artist. I don't even have to tell them. They just know, and they appreciate that. And so I think that's an important thing. So that means you have to go out to places. You have to go to venues, check it out, read the room, read yourself. Is this their vibe? If it's not, don't trip. But find the place, because that's the beauty of living near a city. There are a lot of venues. There's a lot of different flavors. There's a specific vibes. Every place has a vibe. Find the ones that are your vibe. Make that your go-to, and that's one great place. And then the dancing is another great place, depending on the venue. Again, depending on the event, because sometimes it's just like the same dancers you always see, and you don't really want to hit on anybody there, in my opinion, because you're going to see them again every week, like me, But there's other spots that are more free and open, and it's always like a constant flow, and it's less about learning, it's more about dancing. Those are the places that you can do it, because you're not going to see them every week. It's always a turnover. But yeah, so I think that's a strategy. You got to put yourself out there. You got to put yourself out in the vibe where people understand. So you're like into you're into fitness and stuff a lot. So I think more fitness minded events would be also a good place for you to meet somebody.
I like the artists too, because like the artists, they're philosophers too.
Yes.
And I'm I have aspects of an artist.
Yeah.
Although I love logic. I love adding my art to my logic. But I want to pose this question to you. That was good though, yeah, because I have to do that. But as far as some part of me, and it's there, that almost doesn't even believe, or there's a doubt, let's just put it that way, potentially, but I'm not 100% committed to it. But it is there, roaming around in my mind. Is there any one person that you're going to connect with like you thought you were? Like Jordan Peterson was talking about this. He's like, when you on some kind of trajectory and you're trying to reach a goal, you reach the goal, and then all of a sudden, you say, well, when I got here, I thought I was going to feel this way, right? Mm-hmm. And I had that. I'm sure you've had it. We've all had it. Yeah. And he kind of broke it down as like, your happiness will be brief, but it's nothing to depend upon, right? Because it's going to be fleeting, and now you have a void, and now you have to fill it with another goal, right? Mm-hmm. So kind of like, I think that helps to understand, like, okay, everything is going to, like, say for instance, a relationship. There's going to be a point where it's crazy fun and exciting because you don't know the patterns yet. And then the patterns are going to sink down, and you're going to find out, oh, some things I'm going to need to work on myself, but then she's going to have to work on to keep me here, because I can tell that's going to become something, and we're going to have to talk and negotiate that to see if we can continue. So I think at some point, no matter how good it is from the beginning, we're still going to hit that somewhere in the depth for it to go further. Yeah.
So my response to that is, it goes back to find the woman that is the best that you can do. Because that's the best it's going to get.
But how will you know that?
Well, I think you do. Well, I don't know if you know for sure, but you do know when I know when I'm under, when I know I can do better. I know, like, you're with like with, some of my girlfriends that lived with us in Nevada City. I knew I could do better than that, because when I saw the value, I saw like what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? It's like you're not aiming for as high as I want to aim. But once you find that woman, like, all right, this is as good as I can get. And of course, it's not going to be all good, but I think it's much easier if that's what you think. Like, this is the best I can get. Then you can maybe get another woman equally as good as her, but like on the upper echelons above her, like you probably can't hold them. Don't even worry about that. Now you're going to be willing to put up with the drama, put up with the pain, put up with the vulnerability that you need, and put in the work,
the power struggle. Yeah,
because this is as good as it's going to get for you, or at least that's what you think. So I think whether it's true or not, it's a good philosophy to have. Find the best woman that you can get, not the quickest, not the easiest, not the hottest, the best all around woman, because it means it's also a woman that sees your value. That's what it is. That's what I was learning. Like when I went to the Golden Goose and Sea Boys, they see my value, and they all respond to me different. The clientele, the people who work there, and the other spot, they just don't know. They can't see me, so they don't trust me, and they don't know what I'm all about. And I don't understand what they're about either. And it's more like it's almost even like the drugs. You could tell, like, I think, I didn't see it, but I think at the Golden Goose, it's more about like cocaine crowd. Like probably many of them do cocaine. I don't really like that. At the other spot, it's like weed and alcohol. Those are and shrooms. Right. Those are the ones. Probably they do little shrooms at Golden Goose too. But those are the things that's like a vibe. And the cocaine is a vibe. I'm not with that vibe. This is not my tribe. We don't really fuck with that. No. So I think that's a really important thing. And then also try to make sure that you're the best version of your woman. Don't if you're with the woman and she thinks she can do better than you, that sounds like trouble.
Well, I think that's what's actually happening. Is you're trying to do the best you can, whatever that idea is, and then she's trying to do the best she can. And sometimes they're not aligning, but sometimes you would be good for each other. So that's my whole thing. It's like, when do you know? See, that's the scary part, because I guess as you mature, you get better at sensing. And but then you, like you said too, you got to get out there and see what your options are.
Yes.
You got to see what reality is.
That's exactly. So you got to go through this dating stage so you know what your reality is. You know what is.
How do you weigh it if you're not butting into reality and finding out? Reality kind of tempers us and lets us know what's going on. So if we don't go out there, then we don't even know. We'll tend to maybe just get lost and drown in possibilities because it feels good to just sit here. Oh, it could happen. It might have happened. If stuff like that, instead of like, oh, let reality teach me what it is.
Yes. And you know what I'm realizing too is and part of it, and I just realized this, and I kind of been doing it, but now I just reach above what you think you can get. And see, and get rejected or get it and be like, oh shit, I didn't know I was capable of this level of woman. I actually almost did that the other day because I met this girl at a badass party, the Adrian Grenier party, and beautiful filmmaker, totally beautiful. And then she responded to one of my stories on Instagram. So I was like, what? This hot, bad bitch gonna respond? And then, but I didn't really jump on it because I responded. I gave like a non-committal response, right? Which is fine. I didn't like ask her out right there. But then I ran into her again and she's kind of giving me a vibe. And I was like, oh, shoot. Okay. And then there wasn't a chance to like, I was ready. If there was a bit of moment, I would be like, hey, I kind of even did. I started it because I was like, I'm just reading the energy quick and I make moves quick, but it wasn't there, boom. And then I was going to ask her out and then I was like, oh, she's married. I was like, thank God I didn't ask her out. But it was like me. It was a higher level woman than I've ever even attempted to really ask. Maybe when I was younger I did, but now it's like she's successful, filmmaker, beautiful, hot,
and is
capable.
Married, which is rare. Yeah, for you to be a badass woman and married.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't mess with married women at all. So as soon as I saw she's married, I said, okay, cool. Now we can just be friends or allies in business or whatever. But I think that's an important part. Go, and I'm telling that to myself. Go for even ones that you think are out of your league. Not way out of your league. Or I mean, might as well actually. Might as well.
I remember that used to bother me too. Like, but like when I would hear that when I was younger, like, oh, this girl's out of your league.
I hate that too.
I never liked it, but there is truth to it.
There's truth to it.
You know what I mean? There is some truth to it, and I think this is what bothers a lot of men and women is like strip all this social, conditioning and society. It's just we're animals and. We're out there and we're just making choices based on instinct and looks and visuals, everything, all the senses God gave us without the social pressures of this or that. People would pick based on whatever reasons. I think people would get together for whatever unique reasons, right? But that would be reality without being tainted by social structures, right? It would just be we're animals, and just like the animals do. Like, a lion comes, he senses, oh, that lion's stronger, and he backs off. And then the women say, okay, I like him because he seems to scare everybody. It's just all basic stuff that's not personal, right? It's just how it moves, how the energy moves. And a lot of people don't like to, like my qualm with, she's above your pay grade. I didn't like to think that I was in a hierarchy, but I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
That's just life.
That's life. Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of people fight that, especially people who are born unattractive or they don't fit easily into it. They're the ones who are going to have more problems with it, right? And try to create new narratives like, oh, you love your curves, or it's okay to be this, or or I can be broke and play video games and still get bad baddies. It doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? So you want to believe something that's easier to digest instead of this is how it works, dude. You better get on its page. You better get on reality's page and function in reality and win in reality because it's not personal,
But I would say too, it's also so important for us to be you. Like, it doesn't matter where you are in the hierarchy. What really is important is, are you really being true to yourself? You know what I mean? Are you growing your interests? Are you like developing yourself in all the nuanced ways that you as an individual want to? Do you have at least one, but several activities that you can nerd out to all day? Whether it's skiing, whether it's being a triathlete, whether it's chess, Do you are you know what I mean? Or who are you? Are you really or are you pursuing the things that you're told to or you think will get you women? No, don't do that. I mean, try, do whatever you want to do, but I recommend build yourself up to the unique person that you are, and then you have this niche value. And when you find the woman who appreciates that, because you are a nuanced human being, so you don't have to be handsome, you don't have to be tall, but you do got to be you, so that like you do have to be like the full expression of you, and then you can attract like an amazing partner who values your uniqueness. But if you're not fulfilling your uniqueness because it's nerdy or it's weird, or you think that you're under some illusion that no, I got to go be a doctor even though I want to be a comic book illustrator, I'm gonna go be a doctor. No, you're not gonna attract your true mate, I think, if you're on the wrong path. So get on your path and don't worry about the other stuff. Stay fit, you know what I mean? Stay fit and that. But I think that's will be helpful.
No, I can get on that program. I'm thinking too, like, that's why, people don't like the term the truth, which I believe reality is the truth. It just, it does what it wants to do. It shows you how the patterns move, who decides what, how things are decided. It's all over the place, but it is reality. And I think the best thing you can do is kind of come to terms with how reality works, no matter what you think or ought or should. Bruce Lee once said, if you're anchored to a particular view, you're going to miss the swift movement of what is. And what is always moving swiftly, right?
Oh, there it is, like that.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's always moving swiftly. And so if you want to say, you should slow down for me, or I'm blaming you for that, it's not a good thing. It's like you want to, okay, that's reality. I'm going to turn warrior mode on reality. You know what I mean? And kind of get in there and just take my bumps and bruises and learn, because running away from reality is not going to help you grow. And I think that a lot of people tend to want to run away from reality and kind of create their own narrative. And even he talks in the book, like men and women are staying by themselves more. You know what I mean? They're coming to their own corner, being in their own ear. And it's easy to tell yourselves all kinds of things that make you feel good. But reality will tell you what it is, right? You get out there, you get tossed around like a little bee, and you have to deal with, oh shit, I thought I was this, but reality said I'm this. Yeah. And I think that's healthy. You know what I mean? There's a health part to it, There's no better adversary than reality, So there I am with that.
All right. So I think you should wrap this one up.
Yeah.
But I would say I don't think you should wait until you're in the perfect level, because if you go out now, it's going to speed up that.
Right.
100%.
Right. Oh, and again, too, like you're making my point I just made, is the more you're out there
seeing reality,
and then reality seeing you, then you're going to be motivated to change.
Yes. Right now it's like vague. Now it's like, oh, I'll wait and I'll get there and then it'll be great. It's like, that's the fantasy.
And what's
but
behind
it might
it all?
never happen. Yeah.
Tick tock.
So are you going to go out tonight too?
Well, being I have a big day tomorrow, probably not, but I'm still open to it.
It starts at 7 and you could be home by 9:30. That's not. Is that going to disrupt your day tomorrow?
Well, I didn't bring any clothes. I don't have my suit. You
don't got it. That's fine.
No, it is.
Yeah.
I can't come in shorts.
Yeah. To the class. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll keep it open. It's not a closed book. It's not a closed book. But I thank you for being hard on me. But you don't understand how hard I'm being on myself right now, because I'm finding out my inadequacies of not changing as fast as I know I could. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's always on my mind. But I don't. That's why I can laugh and say you're right. You're absolutely right. I'm moving like time doesn't affect me.
Yeah, I think you should just go to the class. Don't even worry about the social. It doesn't matter how you dressed at the class. The class is a class. Doesn't matter. That's what I would recommend.
Okay.
Uncomfortableness is good, and it's on the way home. It's not even like out of the way. Literally. Wait, do you go I-35 or a Mopac?
I take Mopac all the way up, yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so it's on I-35 in airport, but so it's not far out of your way.
Okay. Also, before we close this one, I heard a great analogy, like how a man and a woman, especially from the man's point, should embody. So imagine that you're a rock in the ocean, by the ocean shore. You're a rock. And the motion of the woman is hitting you, but the rock doesn't move. Boom, right? Mm-hmm. And so, if you're stable and the water's, sooner or later that water will calm down, right? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But you have to be that rock while the emotion's crashing against you. And two, like I noticed, like just going back to the friend zone thing, some women do it for attention, but I see some women do it because they like the male energy.
Yeah.
You know, and they don't want to taint it with sex. I get that now. I get that.
Yeah.
Because some are so many women are starving for male attention, and even if they don't want you sexually, or they can have all kinds of reasons for that.
I think a woman can be a man's friend, but it's much harder for a man to be genuinely be a woman's friend.
Right. And so I could see, like, sometimes when I got friend zoned, you know, it was just, and I could see that they liked being around me. They liked, you know, crashing their emotions onto my solid rock, right? And then I would calm them down, and, you know, with the reasoning and stuff. And they began, and each time I would come back to see them, they would slowly know how I behaved and would change. You know, because they knew where my position was on certain things. And so before you know it, they kind of, even with, you know, the person I'm living with, you know, same thing. Like, once I came strong, and then boom, now we don't have to have those conversations because she knows where I stand, right? She knows the argument. She knows the argument. She knows what's going to come if anything comes up. So we don't have to go there, and everything's kind of in order.
Nice.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I realize what men are supposed to do, because I think when a woman lives around you and sees you frequently, she begins to, you might clash in the beginning, but then when she understands who you are, you never waver. Your borders, I mean, your boundaries are the same argument. Every time you hit that, there's the same argument right there. Yeah. It never changes. And then before you know it, they just adapt their behavior. And then I can see in a more intimate relationship, that's how it happens. And men have to do that. So then before you know it, we don't have to have conversations, because you've done it. You hit,
or at least not the same conversation.
Not the same conversation. Yeah. As it changes and it has to be expanded, she already believes in your stability. And then when she tries to hit it from another angle, you're there with an explanation. And then she might hit that spot a few times. And then before you know it, we don't have to have that conversation. And so that's how women will learn to compliment a man eventually. If she likes being around, if she likes when you have answers to her questions, you know, and before you know it, the waters stay calm. You know, they're never always going to be perfectly calm, but, you know, it'll never be like a storm unless there's a real reason for it. So there it is.
There it is. Till the next time.
All right.
Keep it stretched to a steady tempo.
Love reality.